Welcome back. It is the Team Liquid Star League. It is Game 3 between HasuObs and Dignitas.NaNiwa on Shakura's Plateau, and they are as cross-map position as you can get. HasuObs in the red, in the top right, and in the bottom left, Dignitas.NaNiwa in the blue. This is a map that has a very funky dynamic in PvP because it's pretty easy to do a forward pylon pressure on this map. There's a good amount of space, but at the same time, there's not just one thin ramp at your entrance, but two. So if you do end up holding off the aggression, which again can be relatively easy, you can even get yourself an expansion relatively easily. So I think of all maps, this is the one where I'm most torn between doing some sort of crazy early pressure versus doing some sort of crazy expand focus build.
Yeah, absolutely, Sean. And in the last game, we definitely did see that 4 warp gate from NaNiwa. He took that game very convincingly. So it's always interesting to me to see exactly what a player decides to follow that up with. Does he want to have a little bit more fun in the next game, either getting blink stalkers or going for some sort of robotech or anything like that, or is he going to stick with what worked in the last game? And again, NaNiwa is scouting around his own base, looking for those proxy pylons, while HasuObs is deciding to scout his opponent's base directly, which is just showing a slight characteristic difference between these two players. I really like how NaNiwa plays it out, though, because by the time you scout all the way across a map such as Shakura's Plateau, especially once you start looking at the GSL maps, by the time you get there, it may already be too late to realize that you are getting proxied or anything like that. So he has scouted virtually everywhere that an opponent would do that, and is now sending his it looks like he's still scouting around now his main base with that probe. So he just does not want to lose to any cheese here, Sean, and he seems pretty confident in his mechanics to go against any standard build.
And the weird thing at this moment in the game is that we see NaNiwa throwing down a cybernetics core at a pretty reasonable time, at around 16 food, but we see that HasuObs went for a 10 pylon, 10 gate, 15 core, so getting a very fast cybernetics core. We don't see any sort of guys being pulled off gas, so it looks like he will not be doing that sort of Korean 4 warp gate, but instead HasuObs is going to be doing what I think is one of the more brilliant openings on this map, likely going to be getting himself a sentry right off the bat. No, it looks like he's going for the warp gate, but either way, look at that forward pylon. Husky's going to be throwing down some gateways, doing a little bit of constriction at the front of his base so he can get himself a very fast command center. Or even a Nexus, I dare say.
Yeah, should he decide to do that. So, Sean, I'm kind of curious. I was watching his cybernetics core there for HasuObs, and he did delay getting the chrono boost on the warp gate, although I was going to say it looks like he's doing something funky. He is indeed. He has a forge on the way. What is he even going to try and do with this forge right now, you think?
Ooh, he might just throw down a bunch of cannons and expand, and then go for a big air play. Very easy way to secure an expansion. We see NaNiwa trying to follow up with a 4 gate yet again. This is one of these extremely fun openings that we're seeing HasuObs do. Only works on a map where you have a relatively narrow choke. You have to, though, get that 10 gate out very quickly so you can have that first stalker out to be a big bully and push back that initial probe. A little surprised to see HasuObs getting 2 stalkers this early. I think a lot of players favor doing something a little bit less mineral heavy with the unit, so that way they can end up getting either more cannons or that Nexus up a little faster. But the best part about this build from HasuObs is that it's very hard to get a read on it at this stage in the game.
Yeah, a 3rd cannon going down just now for HasuObs, and he is scouting in the center of the map with those 2 stalkers. Seems to me like he wants to delay the push as long as possible. Those stalkers getting caught completely out of position. It looks like they will be able to escape, although nice micro from NaNiwa, able to bust through those shields and maybe able to snipe a stalker. No, it will escape and be able to run home safely to 3 cannons. But, I mean, he is going against a 4 gate. NaNiwa's pylons are inching closer and closer, so the attack is going to commence any time here. And keeping in mind that stalkers do additional damage versus armored units, so that will make them much more effective against a few stalkers and cannons than you may think, and a couple of zealots to absorb the damage as well. So this is a very unique opening from HasuObs. We'll see if it's going to hold off here. I think everyone out there that's a Protoss player wants to see an opening that is good against 4 gates, and we will see if it's going to happen right here.
And there's the push up. Looks like he's trying to get into a good position there. Oh, and now he's going to be sweeping along that right side. Oh no, it did not have a solid constriction there at the front. NaNiwa kind of marches into the base, and it looks like yet another attempt at a gateway wall off. Oh gosh, what a brutal way to lose hold of that front. Naniwa knowing exactly how long those units can stay alive, and as a result, just going to push directly on up into the main. What a terrible way to experience that strategy.
Yeah, I mean, it all came down to his wall-in not being completed. I'm looking at the wall-in right now. There was still just not... I mean, there's a wide open hole there, so he either needed a gateway or something like that, but I don't think the power of the pylon was perfectly placed to place that last building there. And, I mean, you look at how many units Naniwa has left in the main base, and it looks like the cannons would have been able to hold this should he have been in place. There's even a cannon inside HasuObs' main base just trying to zap away these units, but I mean, the damage has already been dealt. If we look at the worker counts, it is 13 to 19, not a good place to be in, and HasuObs has not been able to warp in any cannons or anything at his opponent's base. You can see he does have a probe that has been sitting in plain view this entire time, and this is just not a good situation for HasuObs in the slightest.
I'm still blown away that HasuObs has managed to stay alive somehow in the midst of all that, but as you say, did not quite have that wall off in time, and I even think it may have been a little bit of a blunder that HasuObs has all those cannons hugging the top left side instead of the bottom right, and it looks like Naniwa going to try to do a little bit of a run by again, and look at HasuObs' target firing down all those units, but Naniwa just knows exactly what these gateway units seem to be capable of, knowing when he can rush through, when he can bust by, and another small set of units does make their way up into the main.
Yeah, and the worker count, Sean, still 10 to 19. So even though HasuObs, you may look at the army of Naniwa and be like, well, HasuObs can do this, just make a couple stalkers and micro around, but the economy is half that of his opponent, and then that just means Naniwa can continue warping units in here, running them by the entrance, as his opponent just cannot afford to continue producing out those sentries to hold that wall in just a little bit longer. So again, HasuObs has shown us brilliant control, but it just seems like there's always one mistake that makes it to where his control is not going to be enough, and the pylon powering these cannons is going to go down as well. All looks like just two of the cannons actually not going to be powered. One little lonely cannon here, not going to be able to shoot fast enough. I don't know what HasuObs can do at this point. The second those units ran by, it has been an uphill struggle from here on out.
Naniwa, again, having amazing ability to put pressure on the opponent. See, HasuObs trying to do his best to micro 2 Stalkers against 4 Stalkers and 1 Zealot. Does manage to cut that number down a little bit. That cannon in the top right of the main having a ridiculous kill count considering it's all gateway units, but still, poor HasuObs down to just 6 probes. And Naniwa is slowly picking his opponent apart. The cannon forge opening, so fun and so strong, but good game. We will not see it come to fruition, Naniwa, with the extremely strong 2-gate into 4-gate play again, bringing himself from 0-1 up to 2-1.
And Sean, I'm kind of curious about that cannon opening. Is it something that would work on, say, Metalopolis, where if you put the cannons inside your main base, you'd only be stuck on one base? Or is it something you have to use where you're going to try and secure an expansion just to get a huge economic lead? Because I'm curious how HasuObs was, going to follow that one up. I think it's a build that a lot of players haven't quite seen yet, so I'm just curious on your thoughts on that.
Yeah, I mean, the logic behind the build is that, as I was saying earlier, you always have to cut at least something in the early and mid game. Most of the time, players cut probes. You'll see 4-gators just stop at 19 or generally 20 probes. But when you do this forge opening, sure, you can hold off that sort of business, but the important thing is that you get a lot more workers. You devote all your chrono boost to the workers because, I mean, hell, you have 1 gateway and your warp gate's done. What else are you going to chrono boost, So, in the process of doing this build, you're essentially saying, I want to have a huge economic/probe advantage. You get your expansion up that allows you to further exploit the fact that you have more workers. A lot of times you see Phoenixes come out of this opening to do harassment, to again exploit the fact that he has fewer workers and lifts do more damage to him. It's a really fun way to play with a lot of stability and variety that you have available, but as we saw, Naniwa just saw the tiniest little sliver that he could squeeze through and just sent all his units marching directly on through and punished HasuObs. And I think that very moment, again, is an amazing example of what makes Naniwa a great player. With even the slightest of edges, he knows exactly how to exploit it to the maximum.
Yeah, I think a lot of people there may see a one-sided game, but a lot of it does come down to NaNiwa's decision-making because he knows that if he wasn't able to cause some sort of damage, he was going to have a lot of difficult time busting up that ramp, especially if a fifth cannon was placed there. I mean, that would be a nice tight wall-in, and it would be very difficult for him to run up there. He wouldn't be able to snipe the pylon or anything like that. So NaNiwa's decision-making, albeit he did go with, 4 gates that time, it just shows his decision-making is really good on when to attack, when to back out, when to reinforce, and then a lot of times I saw during those battles, he was sending 1 or 2 zealots, queuing up the attacks on the probes, even though there was a cannon there to defend. Because every probe you can kill, it kind of reminds me of Zerg versus Zerg in StarCraft 1, in that every single worker in this matchup is absolutely vital. Because, both players usually tend to stop making workers at around the same time, so just having 1 or 2 workers on your opponent, that's a 5 or 10% increase in your economy, which does make a huge difference. So, again, it is now 2-1 if you're just tuning in. NaNiwa losing that first game, and then able to show us, kind of his play style and why he was the MLG champion 26-2 in the last 2 games. So we are going to go ahead and take a quick break here, Sean. I don't know if you have anything else to say or plug. Just make sure to do the live voting, and also go check out the Team Liquid raffle. That's going to be it's just the slash raffle there, and go check out the raffle. It helps Team Liquid a great deal if you guys check that out.
And there's actually another little show I'd like to do some plugging for, run by none other than my lovely brother Tasteless and my lovely should-have-been brother Artosis. The GOM TV Star League, the finals are coming up. Definitely check them out. You need to watch the semifinals that happened on Friday night. Oh my God, those were absolutely incredible. Go to gomtv.net. Please watch them, and your mind will be blown. Even if you don't have a pass, I would buy one just to watch Nesty versus SC4U, and then just be happy with your fiscal decision-making abilities, because that is just beyond worth it.
Yeah, I saw those games. I watched them yesterday, actually, and I was like, oh my God, I just soiled myself, and I don't ever want to leave my house again, because that was awesome. So definitely go check it out. Tasteless and Artosis, of course, do cast that. And I guess we could plug ourselves, Sean. I'm Husky StarCraft on YouTube, and I hear that you have some stuff on the internet, too, that you like to show to your fellow nerds.
Yeah, twitter.com/day9tv. You'll see all my fun ramblings of up to 140 characters. But the best part about the Twitter is that it has all the links to everywhere else you can find me, specifically those archives, day9tv.blip.tv. And hey, Husky, I'd like to announce something very special right now. Are you ready, man?
I can't wait, Sean. And thankfully, this is just between you and me, so no one else out there is going to hear it.
All right, yes, here comes a little secret. All right, I officially walked down that graduation line on May 13th, so I will be doing StarCraft 2 full-time after that. Woohoo! Woo!
That is awesome, Sean.
Yeah.
I would personally, if you graduate and are like, yes, I got an office job, I would personally, on behalf of all the StarCraft fans out there, lovingly punch you in the face, because... Yeah, that is awesome, Sean. I'm glad to hear it. I'm sure everyone else out there is pretty happy to hear it as well.
I seriously, I need to put that on my Twitter. Yes, I got an office job. Yeah, all right. So you know what?
I figure we've trolled everyone too much today already, so no more trolling, Sean, because I will have to tell everyone for the next 2 years that you don't, in fact, work at McDonald's now after getting your, what is it, like a master's degree? Are you just bragging at this point? Is that what it is?
Yes, I'm more than happy to be addressed as Master Day 9, and I would like everyone to try not to be disappointed at the idea that I am one of the leaders of the future of America. Yeah,
that's
awesome.
Right.
So
we haven't gotten off topic here at all, I would like to say.
Yeah, I would just like to know for the record that I used to think that people with like amazing degrees were like these brilliant people who just sat around academicizing everything that they saw. And then I realized that I'm just like, I'm just like some nerd who just spends a lot of time in his room. So I'm kind of like, oh, nice. But the important thing is that I'm going to take all my wonderful education and debt and devote it to StarCraft. So I couldn't think of a better way to celebrate than to go directly into game number 4 between HasuObs and NaNiwa. NaNiwa currently up 2-1. We're going to see if HasuObs can tie it up here on Xel'Naga Caverns, or whether NaNiwa can extend his lead to 1 win away from the finals.